Well, good morning. Welcome to Daily Focus, and I appreciate you joining me this morning. We're in Matthew chapter 10 on this beautiful morning in Michigan. It's a little cloud covered, but it is beautiful. The humidity has been cut. I think it's as beautiful a summer day as what we could ever ask for. And I hope you're enjoying your day wherever you are, and that you get a chance to just reminisce the goodness of the Lord and let Him know how much you're rejoicing in another day that He has given to you. Matthew chapter 10 says, "And when He had called unto Him His 12 disciples, He gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these: the first Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, or into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." I think that's a important reference there. It's referring back to chapter 9, in that he saw the multitudes and he had compassion on them because they were scattered as sheep that had no shepherd. And he is talking about those sheep. His compassion is that there are those who are part of his chosen people that he has promised to set up his earthly kingdom and rule over them and to be their king, and they would be his people. But they were not looking for a Messiah. They were not willing to accept what God had said would be the remedy for their sin problem, and they were scattered. He's sending his disciples really to gather those first, and to set up his kingdom. Remember, Matthew is written to the Jews. It's written to in the picture of setting up Jesus Christ as the King. That's the theme of Matthew. Mark presents Jesus as the Son of Man. Um, uh, the suffering servant. And Luke presents him as the Son of Man. And the Gospel of John presents Christ as the Son of God. And that's the one written to Gentiles. But here, Matthew, written to the Jews, and he's reminding them of the kingdom. He's reminding them of his promise to set up an earthly kingdom. Now, he'll fulfill that in the millennial reign. And he turned himself from this program and engrafted in the Gentiles. He includes the Gentiles into the new covenant and establishes the church age. And we understand that theologically from Scripture. But we're looking at this written to the Jews in the context of Matthew, and he is saying, "Listen, I am really concerned, and my love is for those who I have come to set up a kingdom for, who will not receive me." And he's sending his 12 out after them. "And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand." Now remember, they wouldn't allow him to be king. They said, "Crucify him. We will not have this man to rule over us." And so that's when God turns his program. But before that, Jesus is giving a legitimate offer to set up the kingdom. Now, did he know they would reject him? He did. But was his offer any less legitimate? No. Just because he knew how they would respond did not mean that his offer was any less legitimate. "And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out the devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. Provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses, nor script for your journey, nor neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves. For your workman is worthy of his meat. And into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. Um, Here Jesus is saying, go in to the lost house of Israel, go into these cities, and I want you to do what I have commanded you to do, what I have empowered you to do, what I have given you authority to do. And while you're doing this, I want you to realize you're dependent on me. Don't turn this into a venue for personal gain or aggrandizement. In other words, don't take this opportunity and wow people with miracles and draw undue attention to yourself. That's not why I'm giving you power. That's not why I'm calling you to this. I don't want you beginning to hijack what I've been given you for your own personal gain. And that's why he is saying, listen, I'm not asking you to suffer, but I want you to be willing to suffer. I'm not asking you to go without, but I want you to be willing to go without. I want you to be dependent upon me for what it is that you're going to accomplish. Boy, what an indictment, what a challenge for each of us today, that God has called us into his service. He has called us to represent Christ accurately and appropriately. And he has given us abilities. He's given to us opportunities. He's given to us talents. He's given to us time. He's given to us money. He's given to us some things that we're to utilize for people to see Christ. But so many times we hijack it for how it can benefit me. And then we become more dependent on what it can do for me rather than what Christ wants to do through me for others. And boy, oh, if there's an indictment upon American Christians, that's it. We have taken what God has entrusted to us to use through us for the benefit of those who need to see Christ and understand Christ and who need Christ. And we've taken what he's entrusted to us and used it for personal gain until we became dependent upon that. And God is warning us about that. And he says, so when you go into these cities, ask yourself the question, who is worthy? In other words, who is it that wants to receive us and who wants to listen to us? Those that are worthy are those who want to know more about Christ. They are able to see Christ and they want to know more about him. And this ability to do miraculous things was not to make these apostles popular. It wasn't to wow people with the disciples' power. It was to point them to Christ. And so these people that are worthy, they are to show them Christ and tell them about Christ. And if they won't have them, dust your shoes off and move on. In other words, listen, you're not going to be able to make other people's decisions, but don't also hijack what it is I've given you to do for your own personal gain. Be faithful with what I've told you to do. And when you do it, if people don't want to hear it, if people don't want to listen, don't take it personal. Just dust your shoes off and go to another city. But wow, what an indictment we see at the very end here. He says, and when ye have come into a house, salute it. In other words, speak peace over it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it not be worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever shall not receive you nor hear your words, when you depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust off your feet. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. In other words, Sodom and Gomorrah was known for its evil, and it was known for its wretchedness. But it is saying that uh, it is going to receive a greater judgment for people who reject Christ. In other words, just to get caught up in a sin, to get caught up in a selfishness, to be deceived by the world or your flesh is one thing. It's detrimental and it can be destructive and harmful. But to reject Christ is to choose a life without Christ forever, in the torments of an eternity without Christ in the flames of hell. And he is saying, listen, as much as it was intolerable to some extent of God in the wretchedness that he saw in Sodom and Gomorrah, it would be better for that than for those who reject the Messiah. And so he said, don't take it personal. They're not rejecting you, they're rejecting Christ. They're rejecting the message of the cross. And so may it be a challenge to us. We have been given the calling, we've been given the vocation, we've been given the privilege to help the world see Christ, an accurate picture of who he is. So we can't be selfish with our attitude. We can't be selfish with our actions. We can't be selfish with our priorities today. We must be about our Father's business. We must be about walking worthy of the vocation wherewith we have been called. People need Christ, and God has called us to show them Christ. May we be faithful with it. Let's not hijack it for personal gain. Let's just be faithful to our calling, and faithful all the way to the end till we see Jesus. He's coming again, maybe today. God bless.